So now we'll take a question from the floor. Come up to the mic.
Good afternoon. I'm Dante Hayes, and I can assure you I'm not the one who fought the British Empire. I mean, the Italian Empire. I'm the one from Washington, D.C. I'm a Catholic, and I'm a Republican. And you mentioned two things about immorality and issues. And one of the things I want to talk about immorality is I come from a family that's 99% Democrat. I'm the only Republican, so you know what Thanksgiving and Christmas is, and Christmas holidays are. But I did not vote for the first time in my entire life because I thought voting for McCain or Obama would have been immoral because of the issues and their policies. I've traveled overseas and all over Africa. I've been to Africa, I've been to the Middle East, I've been to Central Asia, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, and been in all over the United States. And everyone asked the same question: how are your policies going to help us have a better life? And I just didn't get that with McCain or with Obama. So I listened to your issues, and I say to myself, how can you resonate your message to the American people and foreign people where they understand it? For instance, my mother's a Democrat, never voted for a Republican but one time, but she adopted her grandson, and he was a border baby. The mother was on drugs, and he was slow, so he failed once, and she didn't know what to do. Only thing she knew, he needed to be into a smaller class size, and he needed some additional attention, and she didn't know what to do. So I was able, being Bush guy, I knew how to go and get her a voucher. And because of that one issue, my mother voted for Bush the second time around. It wasn't because she believed in his policy, because she believed that he's going to help the American people. He did one thing for her grandbaby. That was to help her grandbaby get an education. Now Jordan failed his kindergarten, and when she got that voucher, he went from failing to making up that one grade. Now he's an A student. Now, I'm not trying to promote anybody's issues. I'm saying I believe, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, how can you resonate your message where the American people can understand it and see the relevance of it? Because they don't know what they need to know, and they don't understand what they need to understand. I think you can go a long way with your message, because I can ride the same train you on.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, the secret in life is you have to be immortal. Not physically, but you have to be immortal in the way you think. And that is, you'll find in life that most of your fellow citizens, as I have, tend to be stupid. They tend to be morally stupid. They have the facts before them, but they don't draw the conclusions they should because they have another agenda they're listening to. They say, well, I don't need what you're talking about. I'm fixed. I've got a plan. I think something's going to work for me. I don't want to jeopardize that just because you come along with this idea. And as you're finding today around the country, for example, we get a lot of troubles inside the Democratic Party. But over 50% of the people in the recent California Democratic Convention tended to agree with the fact of our agenda. They may not have fully agreed with it, but they agreed that this was one of the things that had to be discussed. And they were important issues, like the question of getting rid of Pelosi, for example. And she needs a new facelift. That'll maybe shut her up for a while. I'm all for her getting a facelift. If it shuts her up, it's good. You know, with that initial surgery, she can't talk much. So the point is in life, how do you talk to people? You have to take an immortal view. First of all, you have to be right. And you have to be extremely self-critical to make sure that you're right in your own mind in what you're proposing. You have to get to the point that you have enough knowledge to make that judgment. Then you have to say it, whatever the reaction is you're getting. Because if ideas are valid, keep them alive. Keep pushing them. And now, people who are afraid of me because I had too many enemies in politics, and now say, oh, how nice you are. Maybe we can do that. So in life, what you have to do is we're dealing with your fellow citizens, you have to show patience what the so-called legendary patience of Job. And because you have to wait for it to come to you. Your problem in life is not to submit guarantees of a certain time that this is going to happen. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes I can because I'm a good forecaster. And generally I don't make the mistakes that most people make. So therefore I'm right because I don't make those mistakes. But in principle, being right now does not mean you're going to get success now. The worst thing to do is to find out what you can be successful at, whether it's right or wrong, and go with that. Our problem with philosophical liberalism in the United States, which we got from the British largely, is that people will say, I got to go with that because that will be accepted, whether it's right or wrong. So what you have to build up in our citizens is a conception of what's right and what's wrong. And you've got to make sure that you're right and pay a lot of attention to being right rather than simply opinionated. And if you're that, then you keep pushing. Keep pushing. Because keeping ideas which are correct alive is the very minimal you can do in life. Sometimes you can use judgment about where you push it. You don't, for example, you don't go to a Klan rally. You know, when I go to a Klan rally, express ideas. I just don't think that's a good idea. There's some parts of northern Alabama which I visited I wouldn't go out in at night where I'm known because I might not come back. But so therefore you don't do everything simply because it's right, but you try to select what you think you should be committed to, what you think you should be able to win people to eventually. And in the case of parents, so you talk about the grandmother, yeah, right, but the grandchild. What you do is you select, this is a mission that you think you can succeed in, that should be able to succeed in, and you try. And you may have some longer term ideas too, which you also will express to people you think you might be able to influence or to involve them in, calling their attention to. What you're trying to do is constantly is plant the idea that is needed for the present and the future and stick at it. Because you have to think of your work as being immortal, not just you. Don't try to be immortal. You're not going to make that one. No one's ever figured that one out so far. But you try to be immortal in terms of the values that you are providing for people around you. That's the only thing you can do. That's what I do. It's worked. I've had some big successes at times and paid a big price for being successful because my enemies were not pleased with that. So, and I've had some big ones, so I can say that you can achieve big results, and I have. I'm more fortunate than most people in that respect. But at the same time, if you think you want a guarantee, an absolute guarantee that you're going to get that result when you want it, that's selfishness. That really does not, there's no guarantee in that. But doing the right thing, putting the right idea, putting the right devotion to a cause into motion, that's valid, always. The main thing is to be right and to come to a deeper understanding at all times, which I try to do. I enjoy it.